paint seasons weren't very good, but the first three were fantastic. All right, so that was the town of Senoia. I think I've been mispronouncing it. Cool little place if you have an opportunity to stop. I'm almost home, but I'm almost out of battery as well. I don't know if it's gonna last, but this has been quite a trip. Alright, so this is the last bit of the journey. Headed home, should be there in just a few minutes. And this has been a journey to remember. It has never really been about getting the motorcycle. It's always been about the adventure, about the trip. I have a Royal Enfield dealership 35 minutes from my home. And so I have been asked by many, many people, why didn't I just go to that Royal Enfield dealer in Atlanta and pick up a Classic 350 there? And I did go there. I sat on the Classic 350. I talked with one of the salespeople there, and he was very polite and very helpful and very knowledgeable, and I enjoyed my time there. But it was always about the journey. It was about the adventure. And so when I saw this particular model, this particular color, available at a discounted rate in New Orleans, I immediately thought through how I could make that work. I knew that my buddy Phil was about an hour away from there. I knew that he would have zero problem with me coming and using his garage and using him for an evening of helping me do that. And so it really just started clicking together, the pieces falling together, and I had to move pretty quickly on it. I had never used an action camera before this trip. So I had purchased this just a few days before the trip locally. It's the DJI Osmo Action 3. I had very little time to get familiar with the camera, zero real time of getting familiar with it on a motorcycle in a moving way. I have a little 125cc scooter that I practiced on and tried to dial things in, but the seating position's not exactly the same, and the engine sound certainly isn't the same, and so it wasn't a 100% one-for-one transfer rate of being able to do one versus the other. And so this whole thing has been a little bit out of character for me. I'm not somebody that people would normally think of as being very adventurous in my life. And at 50 years old, I'm realizing I hate to call it a midlife crisis. It's not really a midlife crisis. It's just a reality of I don't have a ton of money. I've never worked in a profession that paid me a whole lot, but I have some money, and I have good credit. I have excellent credit, and I have some knowledge, and I have some writing skill, and I have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it's coming to a point where if I don't do something with all of that, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I've talked a little bit about arthritis in my hands a little bit, and I've got an injury to my left leg that causes me some pain, and I don't know. And a couple of years ago, I lost my 19-year-old nephew to a motorcycle accident, and it shook me, and it shook my wife and my family to a point where I wasn't sure that I was going to ride again. And I didn't for about a year and a half after that. I barely touched my Triumph Bonneville, and just kind of came to that point of saying, man, I'm not getting any younger. If I'm going to do anything like this, then it needs to be now. But you don't need a road king to be able to take a motorcycle adventure. I just proved that. This is a $3,499 Royal Enfield Classic 350, and it has performed flawlessly. Sure, it would be easier to do on a big touring motorcycle, but who said anything about being easy? I wasn't looking to do something easy. I was looking to do something that would push me. I've never done something like this before, and I get it. You can go on YouTube and find people that have done so much more than this, who have taken greater risks and have gone farther than I could possibly imagine going on a motorcycle. But you're always going to find somebody who can one-up you, right? Sure, Nora Lee, Itchy Boots, she rides all over the world on small displacement motorcycles. But, you know, there's also guys on YouTube who have done the exact same thing on a 90cc postie bike, you know, Honda Trail. There are people who have done the exact same thing on a pedal bike. There are people who have done the exact same thing on a skateboard. So you're going to find somebody who's going to outdo you by a kind of measure of hardship. But I've never done anything like this before. This is the longest journey I've ever taken on a motorcycle, and I've certainly never done it on this motorcycle. A 350cc single from Royal Enfield. And it has been incredibly fun. Yeah, the rain sucked. It really, really did. I was so cold and I was so wet, and in the middle of that I was questioning whether I could make it all the way home. In fact, I had a U-Haul truck and trailer reserved for me in Alexander City, Alabama, just in case I wasn't able to make it all the way back. And so I had to make that decision while I was soaking wet, while I was cold, whether or not I was going to keep that reservation or cancel it. I decided to cancel it. And I'm glad I did. Because this last day of riding has been absolutely beautiful. It's been a joy. So I get it. There's always going to be an excuse why not. Don't have the time, don't have the money, don't have the knowledge, the resources. You can also find a way around those excuses if you really wanted to. If you really wanted to. So you need to be honest with yourself. Is it the lack of resources that's keeping you from doing whatever it is that you want to do? Or is it just fear? I have allowed fear to whisper over and over again in my ear what I should and should not do, and I have listened to fear a lot in my life. And so when I sat down and I told my wife what I wanted to do, she was not 100% on board with it. In fact, she had a lot of fear herself. And so I sat down with her and I shared with her my vision of what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. I had a whole presentation. I had my budget worked out. I had my spreadsheet worked out. I had my maps planned out. And I did not go to her and say, this is what I'm doing. I just laid it out and said, this is something that I would love to do. And she took a day. And after that day, she came to me and said, so talk to me more about this trip that you want to do. And so I shared with her more about it. And it wasn't a high-pressure sale. I wasn't demanding anything from her. But after 26 years of marriage, after 26 years of building a level of trust and respect, it wasn't a sell. I didn't have to sell her on it. I simply had to let her know what it meant to me. And she said, okay, what do you need from me? And so, man, I have enjoyed this. It was hard. It was hard for me. The seat, my butt hurts. My hands are tingly. I am confident my back is going to be sore for the next couple of days. I'm confident that my neck's going to hurt. All those things, I know that there is pain that is coming my way with this. But man, the adventure, the memory, knowing that I pushed myself to do something I had never done before and that I did it. You can do this. You can do it. Hey, thank you. I know I'm a nobody. If more than 50 people watch these videos, I'm going to be shocked. But if you're thinking about buying a Royal Enfield and I would encourage you, go check it out. Have realistic expectations with it. The 350 cc's are plenty if you want to do the type of riding that I do. If you want to go up a little bit, they do have the 650cc motorcycles, and hopefully sometime soon the 650 Meteor will be available here in the United States. I don't know when that's going to happen. My dealer seemed to think that we were probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 months to a year before we got it here in the US. So I don't know, but don't discount this brand. This has been a fantastic motorcycle for the past several days, and I'm going to try to continue to make some more videos going forward and update you on how things are going with this bike. And there are a couple of changes that I would like to make to it. One of the first things I'm going to do is probably pull off that back seat, and I just love the way that looks without the back seat, but I needed that. Number one, what else was I going to do with it? And then number two, I needed something to strap my luggage to. By the way, I used a Amazon generic rock straps. They weren't the rock strap brand, but they're the same type of idea for half the price. They worked out well for me. And again, can't speak about their longevity since I've only had them for a couple of days, but they've worked. I haven't had any problems with those straps. Yeah, it's been so much fun, such a joy, and I'm ready to be home. So thank you guys for joining me on this journey. I appreciate your encouragement and support. I am so brand new to all this. There's so much about this camera that I wish I had known the first couple of days. Mistakes have been made. Things that I thought that I was filming that I didn't film, and a lot of pocket shots as well, and a lot of footage of aiming at the ground, a lot of unusable footage because I forgot to take the ND filter off when I went inside, and just a lot of rookie mistakes like that. Like I said, I'm brand new to all of this, and so thank you for joining in with me and for your encouragement. It's been a blast. God bless you guys. Stay safe and take that adventure.